Hey warriors, look around you. You might think you're free. Free to choose, free to think, free to live as you wish. But if you really look closely, you'll see something else. Something quiet. Something dangerous. A new kind of slavery. Not of the body, but of the mind. People today walk with their eyes open, but their minds asleep. They scroll endlessly, feed after feed, jumping from one idea to the next. 5 seconds here, 2 seconds there. Always switching, always chasing the next small spark of stimulation. They don't control their thoughts anymore. Their thoughts control them. And that, my friend, is how power is lost. You see it everywhere. In their eyes, dull, foggy, restless. They look alive, but something inside them is fading. The ability to think, to sit in silence, to choose their own direction. It's not that their minds are weak. It's that they're full, crowded with noise. Opinions, gossip, notifications, arguments, fake urgency. They carry the whole world inside their head, and none of it belongs to them. You are not tired. You are overloaded. You are not lazy. You are distracted. You are not broken. You are unfocused. And in that confusion, your potential bleeds away quietly every day. Not because someone took it, but because you gave it away in pieces. Scroll by scroll, thought by thought. Centuries ago, Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does at once what the fool does finally. And in that simple line lies a truth that has survived time itself. The wise move with clarity, the fool moves with noise. The difference between power and weakness has never been strength or wealth. It has always been clarity, the ability to see what others can't, to stand still while the world rushes by in panic. Imagine your mind as a blade. A dull blade bends, breaks, and fails under resistance. But a sharp blade, it cuts through everything, clean and precise. Your focus is that blade. Every distraction dulls it. Every moment of silence sharpens it. The question is, how sharp can you make your mind? Because the truth is this, focus is not a gift. It's a weapon. And in this modern battlefield of distraction, the one who controls attention controls destiny. When you can hold your focus, when your mind obeys you instead of the world, you become dangerous. Not in anger, not in chaos, but in calm, deliberate control. People around you will panic. They will chase attention, approval, stimulation. But you will see patterns they can't. You will move in silence while they drown in noise. And that's where true power begins, not in noise, but in clarity, not in reaction, but in thought. The mind trained in focus becomes untouchable. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. The strongest man is not the loudest one in the room, but the one who thinks clearly while everyone else reacts. Today you start that transformation, not by learning more, not by adding more noise, but by removing it. You will learn to see through the fog, to reclaim the strength buried beneath endless distraction. By the end of this path, you won't just know how to focus, you will become focus itself. Calm, cold, unshaken. Because once you master your mind, no one can manipulate you, confuse you, or distract you. You'll begin to see through illusions. You'll predict moves before they happen. You'll become a strategist in a world of noise. So before we go further, write this down or say it out loud. My mind is my weapon. It's not just an affirmation. It's a reminder of who you are when the noise fades. And now, warrior, we go deeper. The next step isn't about motivation. It's about control, the real power behind focus itself. What if I told you that focus isn't energy, but domination? That every second of attention is a silent declaration of power. Focus is not motivation. It is control, the purest form of it. Motivation fades, inspiration changes, but control stays. The ordinary mind drifts, moving from one impulse to another. It scrolls, it clicks, it reacts. It doesn't think, it just follows. This is not weakness of the soul, it's weakness of training. Because the human mind will always go where attention flows. And in today's world, attention is constantly under attack. Every app, every notification, every sound is built to claim a small piece of your focus. They don't want your money first. They want your attention, because once they control that, they control everything else. But a disciplined mind is different. It doesn't move with noise. It moves with intention. Every second of focus becomes a declaration of dominance over confusion. When you choose what to give your attention to, you are not just managing time, you are commanding your destiny. The truth is simple. The sharper your focus, the stronger your mind becomes. And the stronger your mind, the more control you have over your world. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." That law doesn't only apply to kings, it applies to thought. A weak mind serves distraction. A powerful one commands attention, like a silent ruler over chaos. Most people think they are busy, but in reality, they're just scattered. Their energy leaks through endless, half-finished tasks and meaningless thoughts. They move constantly, but never move forward. Busyness is not effectiveness. Motion is not progress. Real power comes from stillness, from being able to direct your mental energy toward one clear purpose while the world loses itself in noise. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters and cutting everything else without hesitation. Every scattered thought drains your power. Every controlled thought builds it. That's why the most dangerous minds are often the quietest. They don't waste words. They don't need to explain. Their calmness is unsettling because it shows control. When others panic, they remain centered. When others argue, they observe. When others chase attention, they disappear into silence and return with clarity. This isn't coldness. This is intelligence in motion. Machiavelli once warned, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. For everyone can see, but few can feel. A person who moves with quiet certainty doesn't need to prove anything. Their power is already visible, not through what they say, but how they think. True focus is built through subtraction, not addition. It grows when you remove what doesn't serve your mind. The fewer distractions allowed in, the sharper it becomes. This process is uncomfortable because silence exposes everything noise used to hide. But that silence is where clarity is born. And with clarity comes precision, patience, and control. Most minds are like open windows. Every sound, every idea, every emotion enters freely. But the focused mind, it closes the door. It filters. It protects its energy. When your attention becomes deliberate, your perception changes. Your decisions become cleaner. Your emotions lose their power to manipulate you. This is what separates ordinary people from those who lead. Ordinary minds react. Powerful minds choose. And when you reach that level of awareness, your calmness itself becomes authority. Because in a world addicted to reaction, calm concentration looks like power. That's the real secret. Focus is not about force, it's about clarity. And clarity creates command. So remember this, every time you choose focus over noise, you are sharpening your blade. You are training your mind to obey. You are becoming what the world lacks, a silent ruler in an empire of distraction. Now say this aloud, calm is control. Because it is. Every moment of calm is a victory. Every second of stillness is strength. But there's one truth most people never see. You can't build focus by adding more to your life. You build it by removing what weakens you. In the next part, you'll discover the secret weapon of the sharpest minds in history. It's not addition, It's subtraction. Everyone wants to learn more. Everyone wants to read more, collect more, achieve more. They believe that adding more will make them powerful. But the truth is, power doesn't come from addition. It comes from subtraction. Subtractive thinking is the art of cutting away what doesn't matter, so what does matter can finally breathe. The modern world worships addition. It tells you to do more, chase more, consume more, think more. But the more you add, the duller your edge becomes. Your mind becomes crowded, and a crowded mind cannot cut through anything. Real clarity comes not from what you gain, but from what you remove. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool keeps adding complexity, building layers of noise until he collapses under his own thoughts. The wise man removes, he clears, simplifies, and acts. Subtractive thinking is not comfortable. It demands discipline. It forces you to look at everything you've filled your life with and ask a brutal question. Does this make me sharper or softer? Look at your mind like a blade covered in dust. Every distraction, every useless thought, every emotional reaction is another layer that dulls your edge. And the only way to restore your sharpness is to wipe it clean. That's why solitude is powerful. It's not loneliness, it's maintenance. It's cleaning the weapon of your mind. In silence, illusions fade. In stillness, truth becomes visible. The process of removal will test you. You'll feel uncomfortable when your mind goes quiet, because silence exposes what you've been running from. But that silence is where clarity lives. And once you taste that clarity, you'll never want to go back to noise again. Powerful thinkers don't chase stimulation. They remove it. They cut before they build. They simplify before they act. Every strong mind is built through precision elimination, removing the unnecessary so only truth remains. Ask yourself, how many hours do you lose to noise? How many times have you opened your phone to check something small, and suddenly an hour disappears into nothing? That's not an accident. That's design. You're surrounded by systems built to keep your mind open. Open to distraction, open to manipulation, open to control. Subtractive thinking closes that door. It reclaims attention from the world and returns it to you. Most people can't do this. They fear emptiness. They mistake silence for boredom. They believe that stillness means nothing is happening. But in truth, stillness is where everything begins. When you strip away the noise, what's left is precision. Every thought becomes cleaner. Every decision becomes faster. Every action becomes deliberate. You begin to move like a strategist, not reacting, not rushing, not seeking validation. You begin to act only when necessary. And when you do, your actions carry weight. Machiavelli understood restraint as a weapon. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." Translated into the mind, it means that chaos cannot be avoided, but it can be controlled by removing what feeds it. When you stop giving energy to noise, the noise loses its power. When you stop reacting to chaos, chaos becomes predictable. That's the essence of subtractive thinking. It is not about doing less. It's about removing weakness. It's about cutting away everything that clouds judgment, so your decisions can cut cleanly through life's confusion. And when that clarity arrives, you'll feel something new, a kind of inner quiet, a power that doesn't shout but is always felt. That's the reward of elimination, a mind that is light, sharp, and unshakable. So remember this affirmation and say it aloud now. Less is clarity. Every time you remove what doesn't serve you, you step closer to the truth. Every time you subtract distraction, you add strength. But clarity alone isn't enough. To truly rise above the noise, you must do more than remove distraction. You must command the mind itself. Because the one who controls their mind controls their entire world. Every form of external power begins from one place: internal control. You can build a business, a body, or a reputation. But if you can't command your own mind, none of it will last. A person who cannot rule their own thoughts becomes a servant to emotion, impulse, and circumstance. They think they're free, but they move like puppets, pulled by invisible strings of reaction. The illusion of balance tells people they can have both comfort and power. But comfort and power rarely live in the same house. Because comfort weakens control, and control requires discipline. Discipline over thought, emotion, and time. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Apply that inward. The men surrounding your mind are your thoughts. If they are weak, unfocused, and emotional, the ruler is weak too. Your mind is your kingdom, and every thought is a soldier. If your soldiers are untrained, your kingdom will fall. If your soldiers obey command, your world becomes unshakable. Mental control is not about coldness. It's about governance. When emotion rules, chaos follows. When order rules, direction appears. The modern world has weaponized distraction. Every sound, every image, every update is a spark. A small tug on your attention, pulling it outward, scattering your energy. And once your attention is divided, your power dissolves. But when you command your thoughts, you become untouchable. You stop reacting. You start observing. You stop being pulled. You start pulling. Most people confuse reaction with awareness. They think feeling deeply means being alive. But true awareness isn't emotion, it's observation. It's seeing your thoughts without becoming them. When you can step back and watch your mind from a distance, you stop drowning in it. You begin to see patterns others are blind to. And that's where dominance begins, not over others, but over yourself. Because emotions still appear. Fear, anger, envy, frustration, they don't vanish, but they lose command. They knock at your door, and you decide who enters. That separation between feeling and action is mastery. The ability to pause before reacting is what separates rulers from slaves. In that small pause, clarity speaks louder than impulse. And that's where control lives, in the space between emotion and movement. Machiavelli once warned that chaos often disguises itself as opportunity. He wrote, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." The disciplined mind adapts, but it never panics. When pressure rises, it adjusts instead of collapsing. When the plan changes, it recalculates instead of retreating. Every emotion becomes data, not disorder. Most people let emotion drive their actions, and later regret what they did in the storm of feeling. But those who practice control never act before clarity. They respond after the emotion, not during it. This is what true power looks like: calm in the storm, deliberate in chaos, unmoved when everything else shakes. Control of the mind begins with structure. Desire alone won't shape it. Discipline will. Habits are your architecture. Observation is your weapon. Each time you resist distraction, each time you hold silence instead of reaction, you build internal authority. You train your mind to obey. And when the mind obeys, the world begins to align. People can't manipulate what they can't provoke. Situations can't shake what stays composed. Machiavelli wrote that visible emotion invites exploitation, and he was right. Those who cannot control what they show become predictable. But the one who stays unreadable, calm, cold, deliberate, becomes untouchable. Control is not about pretending. It's refinement. It's transforming reaction into command. It's turning every emotion into a tool. When you govern your thoughts, you stop being a victim of life and start becoming its architect. Say it now: control creates power. Because that's the truth. Every time you master a reaction, you build an empire inside your mind. But even control needs something sharper, precision. Because power wasted is power lost, and only the precise mind knows where to strike. In the next part, you'll learn how to think like a strategist, to turn focus into accuracy, and accuracy into quiet dominance. Most people move fast. They believe that speed means progress, that constant motion equals success. But there is a difference between movement and impact, between action and accuracy. Precision thinking is the ability to see exactly where to strike, to focus energy not on doing more, but on doing what truly matters. A scattered mind tries to hit everything. A sharp mind picks one target and bends the outcome to its will. This is the art of strategy, the discipline of thinking like a ruler, not a follower. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." But the wise ruler doesn't act from emotion. He acts from calculation. Every move is deliberate. Every silence is loaded with intent. Because he understands, a single well-timed decision outweighs 1,000 impulsive efforts. Precision begins with observation. It's the ability to see the patterns beneath chaos, to notice the details others overlook, to connect events before they unfold. Most people act first and think later. They are driven by emotion, by pressure, by ego. They chase every opportunity that looks shiny and end up exhausted, confused, and directionless. But the precise thinker is different. He doesn't chase. He studies. He watches the field before he moves. He waits not out of fear, but out of strategy. Every patient moment is a weapon. Every observation is a potential strike. This is what Machiavellian psychology teaches. Control is not achieved by force, but by understanding. The mind that can dissect motives, anticipate moves, and measure timing never competes. It dominates silently. Precision is economy. It's saying less, moving less, deciding less, but doing each thing with flawless execution. Average minds love activity. Superior minds love results. A surgeon does not swing wildly. He moves once, cleanly, and everything changes. That's precision. That's mastery. And yet, this level of focus requires patience, because acting too early destroys advantage. The impatient are loud. The precise are quiet. The impatient chase moments. The precise create them. Machiavelli believed that the wise ruler adapts with time, but never loses direction. That's what precision thinking is, adaptation without confusion. It's flexibility with purpose, the ability to change tactics without losing clarity of mission. The precise thinker doesn't get lost in emotion. When others panic, he observes. When others react, he calculates. He sees emotion as fog, temporary, blinding, and waits for it to clear before moving. That detachment is not indifference. It's power. It's the ability to separate feeling from decision, noise from truth. The world mistakes silence for hesitation, but silence is preparation. It's data collection before the decisive strike. The precise mind doesn't speak before understanding, doesn't move before calculating, doesn't commit before confirming. When the time comes, it moves once, perfectly, and that single movement cuts deeper than 1,000 restless ones. This is how great leaders, strategists, and thinkers operate. Not through chaos, but through control. Not through luck, but through logic. Every mistake made by others becomes a map for the precise thinker. Failure is not a wound, it's a guide. Every wrong turn reveals where clarity was missing. And that's how precision grows, through awareness, through refinement, through repetition. Precision thinking also commands respect. People trust those who move slowly but decisively. They sense something, the quiet authority of someone who does not rush. That calm energy, that focused stillness feels like power. Because in a world full of noise, calmness is the loudest signal. It tells everyone, I know exactly what I'm doing. So train your mind to slow down, to think before reacting, to observe before speaking, to calculate before committing. Say this aloud, precision is power, because it is. Every time you hold back from a rushed reaction, you sharpen your edge. You trade noise for control. And when you finally act, the world feels it. But precision alone can't protect you if emotion still controls you. Because the sharpest mind can still shatter under pressure. The next step is building something even rarer, emotional immunity. Powerful minds do not collapse when emotions rise. They do not tremble under pressure or lose themselves in storms of feeling. They stand still, calm, deliberate, untouchable. This is emotional immunity, the silent armor that separates the strong from the easily broken. Most people don't fail because they lack skill or intelligence. They fail because they lack control over their emotional reactions. They let anger, envy, fear, and disappointment rule their actions. And once emotion commands thought, clarity dies. Machiavelli once wrote, "The one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." And who allows themselves to be deceived most easily? The emotionally reactive. Because the moment emotion leads, logic follows blind. Every time you react without thinking, you hand your power to someone else. You become predictable, and the predictable can always be controlled. Emotional immunity doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being ruled by what you feel. It is composure under pressure, silence in provocation, calm in chaos. A person without emotional control is like a house without walls. Every passing wind enters and rearranges the inside. But the disciplined mind, it builds walls, invisible but unbreakable. Not to block emotion, but to contain it. Anger, fear, jealousy, they're not enemies, they're signals. Each one points toward a weakness that must be reinforced. The more aware you become of your emotions, the less they can deceive you. When you feel anger and choose stillness, you win. When you sense fear but move forward, you evolve. When you see envy and turn it into motivation, you grow. That's how emotional immunity is built, one silent victory at a time. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear compassionate, but remain rational underneath. He wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. Behind that cynical line hides a deeper truth. Emotion must never rule strategy. Compassion, fear, passion all have their place, but when they drive decisions, they destroy direction. In today's world, people are trained to overreact. They express before they think. They speak before they understand. They let every insult, every opinion, every rejection shake them. The powerful do the opposite. When others shout, they listen. When others panic, they observe. When others lose control, they watch. That observation is not coldness, it's mastery. Because when you stop reacting, you start seeing truth. The emotionally immune don't absorb chaos. They reflect it back. They turn insult into information. They turn pain into pattern. They study what others fear to feel. That's how pain becomes strategy. Every difficult moment becomes training. Every emotional wound becomes armor. Machiavelli called this invisible dominance. It's not about suppression, it's about understanding. When others try to provoke you and fail, they realize they have no control. And that's where respect begins. Emotional immunity disarms manipulation, because manipulation feeds on reaction. If you don't react, it starves. If you stay calm, it breaks. You stop being a participant in other people's chaos and become a mirror that reveals their own instability. This is the power of calmness. It is not passivity, it is quiet dominance. Each time you stay centered under pressure, you build authority that cannot be faked. People start to sense it, that cold, steady energy. They lower their tone around you. They choose words carefully. Because emotional control feels like strength. The world respects what it cannot shake. So say this aloud: calm never loses. Because it doesn't. Emotion is temporary. Control is permanent. Every time you stay calm when you could have reacted, you gain leverage that others can't see but always feel. Emotional immunity is not born in comfort. It's forged in silence, in restraint, in composure when chaos calls your name. It is the art of turning emotion into awareness, awareness into control, and control into power. But there's one more transformation, because calmness not only protects you, it builds respect. The world bows to those who cannot be moved. In the next part, you'll see how sharpness itself becomes a language, one that commands attention without a single word. Sharpness is a language that speaks without words. In the world of noise, the person who moves with precision, restraint, and calmness stands apart. That presence is magnetic. It demands attention not through force, but through clarity. Most people believe respect comes from popularity. They chase validation, applause, approval. But real respect doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being felt. It's the quiet authority that makes others lower their voice when you enter a room. It's the control that radiates even when you say nothing at all. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In our age, that fear is not physical, it's psychological. The quiet discomfort people feel when they stand before someone who cannot be influenced, persuaded, or provoked. Sharpness isn't cruelty. It's clarity so strong that it cuts through the fog of confusion. It's the mark of someone who has mastered themselves so deeply that others sense it and instinctively adjust. The sharp individual doesn't need to prove control. They embody it. Every move, every word, every silence carries weight. The calmness unsettles people because it reveals discipline in a world addicted to impulse. Sharpness begins in the mind. When your thoughts are organized, your actions become deliberate. When your emotions are calm, your voice carries gravity. People listen because they can feel that you are not guessing, you are deciding. The dull mind reacts to everything. The sharp mind chooses its moments. It doesn't waste motion. It doesn't waste words. It doesn't waste energy. In that precision lies power. Sharpness is the art of control expressed through simplicity. It's saying only what needs to be said. It's moving only when the move matters. It's letting others exhaust themselves in noise while you conserve your strength in silence. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The sharp mind understands this deeply. It controls appearance as much as action. It knows that mystery is a form of dominance, and that the less people understand you, the more they respect your presence. Sharpness also enforces boundaries without effort. It doesn't beg for respect. It commands it by consistency. Every clear no, every silent reaction, every moment of restraint builds a wall around your energy. Those boundaries teach people how to approach you, carefully, attentively, with respect. In time, this aura becomes unmistakable. People feel it before they hear it. They start to mirror your composure. They lower their voice. They think twice before lying or manipulating. Because sharpness communicates power through behavior, not words. To the outside world, you may seem distant, but in truth, you are simply disciplined. You understand that focus demands space, and distance protects focus. Machiavelli believed influence required distance, for familiarity breeds contempt. Sharp people live by that rule. not out of arrogance, but because they know that proximity without purpose invites weakness. Respect flows naturally to those who hold themselves to a higher standard. Sharpness does not chase approval, it defines it. It sets the tone that others unconsciously follow. Look at history. Every powerful figure carried this stillness. They didn't talk the most. They didn't explain the longest. They spoke with certainty, and then silence did the rest. That's the language of sharpness. Few words, deep weight. Few movements, total precision. So repeat this affirmation now. Respect follows clarity. Because it does. When your thoughts are clear and your actions deliberate, the world recognizes power without you having to declare it. Sharpness isn't about being feared. It's about being understood as someone who cannot be shaken. It's the calm authority that changes the atmosphere of a room. And once you build that aura, you no longer chase influence. It comes to you. But every sharp mind faces one final test: mistakes. Because even the most disciplined thinker will fall, fail, and misjudge. What separates the wise from the broken isn't perfection, it's how they rise. In the next part, you'll learn how to turn every mistake into power, how to transform failure into foresight. Every scar on your mind tells a story, not of weakness, but of survival. Mistakes are not proof of failure. They are the fingerprints of growth. Every wrong turn, every regret, every disappointment carries a lesson waiting to be uncovered. The weak run from those lessons. The strong dissect them because they understand that pain is instruction. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last." The difference between wisdom and failure isn't intelligence. It's recognition, the ability to face the truth, extract the lesson, and adapt before it repeats. The world punishes those who refuse to learn. It breaks those who hide behind excuses. But those who look directly at their mistakes gain something rare: clarity born from consequence. Every mistake is a mirror. It shows you what pride tried to hide, the blind spots, the impulsive reactions, the misplaced emotions. To most, this reflection feels painful, but to the wise, it's data. And data leads to dominance. The disciplined mind studies its own downfall without emotion. It doesn't say, "Why me?" It asks, "What truth did this reveal?" That question transforms pain into direction. Because once you understand why you fell, you can choose how to rise. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors those prepared for her storms. He wrote, "Fortune shows her power where valor has not prepared to resist her." Every mistake exposes where preparation was missing. Every failure is a message from the future, warning you not to walk blindly again. The one who studies their mistakes becomes harder to deceive because they've already seen their own weakness and faced it. They become unpredictable, adaptable, dangerous. They no longer fear failure because they've learned how to turn it into strategy. Mistakes are teachers disguised as pain. Each one reveals a truth emotion tried to cover. Each one hardens perception, sharpens awareness, deepens control. Machiavellian wisdom teaches that power grows only where delusion dies. And mistakes are the death of delusion. They kill arrogance. They expose false certainty. They burn away illusion until only truth remains. Most people will never reach this level of awareness. They fear being wrong more than they fear being weak. They protect their ego instead of their potential. But the strong, the focused, the disciplined, they treat failure like a blacksmith treats fire. They use it to shape the blade sharper. When you analyze your mistakes with honesty, you evolve faster than anyone else. You start seeing patterns in your own mind, the same triggers, the same impulses, the same moments of weakness repeating. And the moment you recognize a pattern, you can control it. That's real intelligence, self-correction in motion. The one who learns from every downfall builds quiet power. Not loud confidence, quiet certainty, because they no longer fear being broken. They've rebuilt themselves too many times to be destroyed. Each failure becomes a map. Each scar becomes instruction. And over time, the mind that once trembled under chaos becomes immune to it. The greatest danger is not failure itself, it's the refusal to learn. The man who ignores his mistakes becomes predictable. The man who studies them becomes a strategist. That's how resilience is born, not through luck or talent, but through facing yourself honestly and adapting ruthlessly. The one who accepts every past mistake and extracts wisdom from it becomes impossible to manipulate. Because no one can use your past against you when you've already made peace with it. Mistakes are not walls. They are doors, if you have the courage to open them. Each one leads to more precision, more focus, more power. Machiavelli wrote, "Men rise from one ambition to another. First they seek to secure themselves against attack, then they attack others. And your mind follows the same path. First it learns to protect itself. Then it learns to command. You began this journey surrounded by mental noise. Now you've learned silence, clarity, control, precision, and emotional immunity. And from that stillness, your sharpness has grown. The transformation is complete. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are shaping it. Say this final affirmation, "My mind is my greatest weapon," because it is. Every act of focus sharpens it. Every moment of calm strengthens it. Every mistake refines it. A sharp mind doesn't avoid chaos. It bends chaos toward purpose. You've reached the end, but this isn't the finish. This is the beginning of mastery. Now the challenge is simple. Live everything you've learned in silence, in control, in clarity, because in a world drowning in noise, a sharp mind cuts through everything. You have reached the edge of the noise. Beyond this point, there are no more lessons, only practice. Because wisdom means nothing until it is lived. The world will still try to pull you back. It will whisper your name through notifications, through opinions, through endless noise disguised as urgency. But you are no longer the same. You are not the mind that once chased distraction. You are the observer, calm, deliberate, awake. The journey began with slavery, mental chains hidden in convenience and comfort. You broke them through focus. You learned that control is freedom, that silence is power, that emotion is data. Piece by piece, you reclaimed your attention until your mind became your kingdom again. Now you walk differently, not faster, not louder, but clearer. Every step has intention. Every word carries weight. Every silence is full of meaning. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men rise from one ambition to another." And so did you. You rose from confusion to clarity, from reaction to control, from noise to precision. That rise was not sudden. It was built in the quiet hours, the moments when you could have escaped into distraction, but chose discipline instead. The modern world still belongs to noise. People will keep talking, scrolling, chasing. They will laugh at silence because they fear what they might hear inside it. Let them. You do not exist to be understood by everyone. You exist to master yourself, to become the one calm mind in a sea of panic, to move so intentionally that even your absence commands respect. Sharpness doesn't need to announce itself. A blade doesn't speak. It simply cuts. Your mind has become that blade. Every act of focus keeps it honed. Every act of restraint keeps it strong. Do not waste energy proving your control. Show it by how little you are disturbed. The world will try to test your calmness, your patience, your precision. Pass each test in silence. Respond only when response serves purpose. That's how control evolves into command. The powerful are not those who fight every battle. They are those who choose which battle deserves attention. Your power now lies in that choice. Understand this final truth: real dominance is invisible. It's not in how loud you speak, how many listen, or how many obey. It's in the stillness behind your eyes, the unshakable focus that no distraction can enter. That stillness makes people wonder. It makes them hesitate. It makes them respect what they cannot explain. You don't need to control the world. You only need to control your mind. Because when the mind is mastered, the world adjusts around it. People sense order in your presence and begin to mirror it. Chaos softens in front of clarity. That is the silent influence of a sharpened mind. It bends reality quietly. So when confusion returns, and it will, remember the path. Begin again with silence. Cut away the excess. Observe, don't react. Decide, don't drift. And when you move, move with precision. That cycle, awareness, elimination, control, precision, calm, is the rhythm of mastery. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Now, warrior, your only task is to live what you've learned. Build in silence, work in focus, move with clarity, and let the results speak the language of power for you. Say it once more, not as an affirmation, but as identity. My mind is my greatest weapon. Because it is. It has freed you from slavery. It has turned pain into wisdom. It has made you calm, precise, and untouchable. Carry that weapon carefully. Keep it clean. Keep it sharp. And walk through this noisy world as what you've become. A ruler of thought, a strategist of emotion, a master of silence. This is not the end. It is the beginning of command. Stay silent, stay sharp, and when the world grows louder, smile. Because while others drown in noise, you have become the silence that cuts through it.